Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from sharEvery. Today we are going to learn many takeaways, the difference between spoon feeding and independent learning. Getting opportunity to host a session is really privilege and honor to me, and hearty welcome everybody. This is time to introduce or invite our prime mover of the day, English teacher in government sector from Andhra Pradesh, India. She is none other than teacher Sekuntala Devi from Andhra Pradesh, India. The guest, as we announced earlier, coach Ashoka Bira Lata from Hyderabad. She is going to share us with many things, the difference between spoon feeding and independent learning. Now it's time to invite our prime mover of the day to introduce our guest of honor, Coach Ashoka Lata Bira. And she is none other than she is teacher and passionate English learner, teacher Sekuntala Devi from Andhra Pradesh, India. Thank you, ma'am.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. I am welcoming to sharEvery Advanced Session 454, and I am Sekuntala Devi from Andhra Pradesh, India. I would like to invite a great guest speaker, Coach Ashoka Bira from Hyderabad. Ashoka Bira is the founder and CEO of Noble Farm School. She is a life member of ECA and ISTD Hyderabad. She is also a lifetime professional member Institute of Scholars. Ashoka Bira is a continuous learner having academic qualifications of Masters in Biological Science in 1979 and Bachelor of Education in 1980, Masters in Education in 1994, and Masters in Arts Education in 2015. She got many awards such as a Influential Woman in Education 2022, Bharatiya Shiksha Ratan Award, Best Research Paper Education Track. She got so many awards. Ma'am is a very attractive and active personality and also kind-hearted woman. It is a great privilege to talk about Ashok Bera ma'am. I would like with a big round of claps.
Good evening and good morning to some of the people who have joined. It's a pleasure that I'm here. And thank you, Coach Kuntala, for introducing me. And thanks to the founder of sharEvery, Coach Ram Babu, for organizing this Sunday's meeting. My topic that I selected is about spoon feeding and in alternative bit, the independent learning. So before I start, I would like to ask a question. On the Indian currency, we all see this picture. Can somebody see the name?
Gandhiji.
Okay, Gandhiji sir. Gandhiji sir.
Yes. What is he famous for? Why is he on the currency notes? Why we
Non-violence.
him?
Himsa.
Non-violence?
And he is a father of nation.
He is known for as father of nation. Yeah. Any more?
He's the initiator of all the movements in India to take the next level of our independence.
Can you see this monument?
Taj Mahal,
Taj Mahal. Yes. Where is Taj Mahal? It's a monument. So where is Taj Mahal?
Agra,
Agra.
It is in Agra.
It is in Agra. Is it in India?
mhm,
Yeah,
Yes.
it is in
Yes.
India.
Yes. And in India, in which state is it?
Uttar Pradesh.
Very good. We all know it. So we are all teachers. We have learned this through so many years. We learned it and we give it as a GK or we give it as a in language. We have this in our social studies lessons. And when they learn in the younger classes, in the early years, they remember it and we remember it even till now. Right. Have you heard of a scientist, Albert Einstein?
Yes, absolutely. As a great
What?
scientist, we all know.
Yes. Here, what are his achievements?
E is equal to MC square. He has introduced, invented that.
Yes. Any more?
He is a mathematician, physicist, scientist, and evergreen learner, independent learner.
Independent learner.
So never stop learning and never stop teaching also.
Yes. He was a teacher too. He was teaching,
Yes.
he was learning, and he had brought so many theories. So we all remember what we learned in our school. And we continued learning, and here we are sharing some of the knowledge amongst ourselves and refreshing ourselves. The purpose of today's meeting is trying to understand what is wrong with today's education system, because there's a lot of talks going on how we have to change our methods in teaching as per the education policy. And we are struggling for the past 2 years, 3 years. 1 year was lost. And now we are trying to understand what is wrong with the education system. We know that education is managed by the state or central run boards, or some are private, which are not affiliated, but they still run the schools. And in this journey, when they go to school, it is a formal education. When they do not go to school and still they can learn, it is non-formal education. We have what is called as non-formal education and even informal education. This non-formal education, it is about how we refer or we learn it through certain programs. We get evaluation done. Usually some evaluation is done, but it doesn't lead to any certification. In the informal education, it's just learned as the children or the learners move about in the society, or they just learn from each other at their jobs, at their workplaces, or as they walk through their day in a day-to-day. So they learn from families, they learn from grandmothers or grandparents or from elders in the house. So that is informal education. So we do have non-formal education and informal education, which is still learning. And then we have even formal education where the structure in brick and mortar structures are there, where teachers are there and they teach. This education system is what we are going to understand if it is the right method or is it we have to improve in it. So improving the quality of education discussion was there with respect to Asia. And one frequent problem that was highlighted was spoon feeding. Do you all agree with me? We heard about this spoon feeding so many times, We go for it. We go against the spoon feeding. So basically, when the blank minds are filled with teacher's knowledge or textbook knowledge, transferred from textbooks or transferred from blackboard, transferred from verbally from the teacher, it is called as spoon feeding. So this usually happens in tuitions, tutorials, or in the families when sometimes when questions are being asked and whatever they know, they just fill that into the minds of the learners or the person who wants to who asks the questions. My target question to the audience today is how spoon feeding impedes independent learning. How does spoon feeding impede independent learning? Is it good or bad? Let me highlight a few points to make us understand what is the fault of spoon feeding. The first one is it is stealing the opportunity from the students to think or to act on their own. And it also deprives the learners of something vital. And we need to stop spoon feeding. And even in the corporate offices too, the staff are being spoon fed by the trainers or the managers instead of addressing the problems. So spoon feeding in the schools is continuing into the jobs also. So how this is impacting and it is making when the students are losing their interest, lacking any effort, it's still continuing into the universities and it is still continuing into the job areas also. So it's becoming a very difficult task to make the learner understand what is next, what they have to do next, how they have to take forward their life in getting the knowledge. Is it just gaining some knowledge? And how are you going to use that knowledge? So these are the ones educators will have to discuss to see why spoon feeding has to be stopped and independent learning has to be encouraged. Here, I would like to tell some more about why spoon feeding is not very correct. Now also we are preparing for the new policy to be implemented in the schools. And still we are focusing more on the exams, on the grades, learning how to pass from one grade to another grade. So teachers are concentrating on that and children also are concentrating on that. And parents and students are also demanding a service from the school which will help them to move towards higher classes and come out of the school and go into the university. The teaching system is bearing this with this demand. How long are we going to bear with this? So we are just pushing children from one class to another class to higher classes. And this has to be checked somewhere for the quality and of the learning. What is happening is we are encouraging certain rote memorization. So this rote memorization is just, we can understand that it is just gaining knowledge. Now we can also say that instead of having more being given to the children or students, giving less and perfectly so that children do not memorize but understand is better. So here I would like to highlight certain observations and directives. The first observation is knowledge is nothing by itself. What does it mean? Knowledge is transferred from the teacher to the student, and when it is just knowledge, it doesn't have any impact. It should be added with some other practical things like skills. If skills are there, then knowledge and the skills is useful for the learner to do a job or a work or go further in the in higher education, and it will be useful in when they are job arenas. The second observation is the most important thing to learn in the schools is how to learn. The sooner a student can learn without a teacher holding the hand is better. Hand holding is of no use. Hand holding is just taking the student along with the teacher by just pushing something into the head. How long will a teacher or an adult hand hold? The child will have to know how to learn and how to move forward when they sit for a competitive exams. The children, when they leave the school, when they're left by themselves and they're given guidance, then they will know how to prepare their own path. They know how to go in which path or direction. Learning to learn takes place within 3 domains. I think we are all teachers and we can tell these 3 domains: the cognitive, the affective, the psychomotor domain. These are the 3 domains which are important for when learning happens. The cognitive is, of course, we know it is knowledge. So the mental skills are very important. This is from books or content, and it just doesn't help just learning, gaining knowledge. What is the next domain that a learner should have is affective domain, where the feelings or the emotion areas are looked into and the attitudes or the self is developed. The third is the psychomotor domain, where the manual, the physical, the moving skills are, as they move, they learn. The students will sometimes show favoritism in these 3 domains or a particular domain. But the teachers have to guide them, understand them, observe them, and where they're lacking, help them to understand the other domains also, help them to take towards the other domains also. So that is why I'm saying that teachers could be called not just as giving knowledge, but teachers have to be seen as facilitators. And they guide the students by giving some experiments, letting the children do some project works. They give them certain library work. They take them to library. They give some assignments. So they have, they help them in communicating. They help them in collaborative areas so that the children will know how to move forward, just not copy something. They know how to work. They're learning many skills. So skills development has to be there along with the cognitive domain. The teacher is as a provider of resources. Teacher is helps in monitoring the progress of the child, student, and it encourages also the students in problem solving. Again, we are talking about Albert Einstein. He was teacher too. He said that he never teaches pupils. His attempt is always to provide conditions where they can learn. So we have to provide sufficient conditions enough or areas enough so that learners have to be provided environment so that they can learn, not just simply like a sponge, just take up from the textbooks, take up from Google. So certain things are just simply taking the students to become so much of just putting something into the mouth like spoon feeding, but this is not going to help. Stop teaching, start facilitating, stop monitoring the pupils. So we have to provide certain conditions which have to give them learners every area to understand what is needed. They have to form their own goals. They have to form their own goals. Let them prepare their own goals. This is what I have to learn. This is what is necessary for me. Now, in this coming centuries, what are the skills that I have to learn? So these they have to think for themselves, make them understand to think. So this thought will have to be created in the children. So to make them think, a teacher will have to encourage. The school environment will have to encourage. The home environment also should have to encourage. I want you to look at this picture. Don't let this happen to the brain. What is happening here in this picture? All the competitive exams. Apart from the school education, they have a lot of pressure of competitive exams. All the entrance exams or grades or they want scores. So all this is being poured into the heads, brain of the students by the parents, by the teachers, by the schools, by the institutions. If this is happening, what happens to this child is they're always running only after the grades, after the cramming knowledge into their heads. So instead of that, it is now time to move away from spoon feeding era of the 90s, and we have to come into the move towards the holistic learning era of the 2020s. What's the best way to do this? Can somebody say anything about it? Bad effects of spoon feeding and why the competition in this learning should be stopped. So, what is one suggestion that you can give?
Yes, ma'am. As you mentioned, we can make people away from spoon feeding by
Yes.
providing the resources where they can learn by their own. As Albert Einstein mentioned, it's the best idea, as
Yes.
per my concern. Yes.
One practical thing that I am doing with my students, we are dealing with degree college students.
Hmm.
So we are having symposium competition where teachers guide students how to prepare research papers.
Yes.
So each and every student, 3-4 students are there with one teacher, and she guides which particular part they have to find out the information, how to go create a Google form, how to collect the information, take practical surveys and prepare paper. So along us, we are giving them chance to investigate and come out with their own papers, and then we present together.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. They're very good observations. Yes, this is what we have to start learn from the school days itself, so that it will be easier for them when they go to the universities. Stop spoon feeding, adopt independent learning. Hope I have made my presentation enough so that it can make us think more and talk more amongst our colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Really, to be frank, I want to share my experience while listening your presentation. And I have completed my teacher training a course, a diploma in education, and after that, Bachelor of Education, and very recent Master of Education. But while I'm listening, I felt like I was in front of my teachers and professors by listening all these domains and everything, and the psychological aspect and everything. Really, you have brought very good information and you pour in front of us. Really, we are very thankful to you. Again, to remind what being as a parents, we should concentrate whether spoon feeding or independent learning. It's really a needful concept nowadays. Thank you so much for a wonderful sharing with us through this class. Now, this is time to invite our reviewer of the day to sum up the message and in 5 minutes. And we have invited Coach Shiama Marikar from Oman, and she is a proud sharEverian from a country, Oman. Thank you so much. And it's your turn, Coach. Please come forward and please sum up.
Very good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Nice to see again all our sharEverian and to be here. And thank you very much, Coach Rambabu, having me as a reviewer today. Madam Ashoka Bira, what a wonderful presentation. First of all, let's give a round of applause for her for enlightening us on such a beautiful topic. Because as educators, we always look for something new, right? So today I also learned new things, and it was an amazing presentation and a wonderful topic that you chose today. Spoon feeding versus independent learning, right? So as you started, your beginning was very interesting because you create curiosity by asking questions, showing objects, and it was like you immediately or instantly grabbed our attention. I like the way that you started your presentation. And when it comes to the content, I like it. You just started with what is spoon feeding. It's like only knowledge transferring or information transferring. That is the system that most of the countries they follow. So this should be changed. Then you beautifully mentioned why it should be changed. What is the reason? Because there are students, they cannot develop skills when they only learn by gathering information. So that it would be like they learn and they want to get the grades and they forget about it, right? So you say very beautifully mentioned exams halls, children study, learn, and once they go out of the exam hall, they forget everything. So what is the use of learning? Exactly, this is a question point. So now to change this, what can be done? We have to inculcate or include skills development also in 3 domain areas, we said. Thinking, cognitive skills, one, and psychomotor skills to develop. To develop all these things, we cannot only transfer information or just keep on telling children to refer to the books, learn and study and come copywriting and memorize. This is not the way to teach for this generation or for this era. We cannot expect students to only gather information and keep it for a while and just pass the exam and forget about it. So what can we do here? And you suggested what we can do here is we can implement many other group activities, group learning, right? Through group learning, students, what they do is, group learning is actually individual learning. They get the information and they do practically. For example, I'm a science teacher, so I have the experience of giving students group practical experiment. They just teach the basic things, but they have to do by themselves, experiment it, and come to a conclusion what they have found out. This type of learning give them the lifelong learning enthusiasm it creates, right? So very beautifully you mentioned, ma'am. I like all the points that you said. Sometimes children learn informally, sometimes children learn formally, yes. But if you just think about that informal learning, and she beautifully mentioned that with the society they learn, right? Some from grandparents, sometimes in a meeting they learn. So in these things also impactful. At the same time, in school-wise, the school management and the teachers and the society all come together to empower our students, learning not only with the books and the resources from internet and Google. Just we have to always think of what skill they are going to develop, because the skill development remains longer with our memory. It in subconscious mind, it stays there, so that every time, like Albert Einstein mentioned, that we have to provide the condition for the students, and we have to design our education system in a way that students grab or gather the information, knowledge, and sharpen their skills from that knowledge through different experience. So this kind of classrooms will be much more enjoyable. At the same time, the learning would be memorable, right? So that was her point. I like it very much. And she said, why skills development is important? Because not only gathering information for jobs, we need skills, right? And to live in a society, we need skills. So not only transferring the knowledge or information is important, at the same time, some skills to learn to use it through their life long, right? That is most important, you mentioned. And I like it very much. And you said spoon feeding is not suitable for this era. Now we have to adapt to the holistic learning, right? So holistic learning in the sense, same like Albert Einstein mentioned, that we have to provide the suitable environment for the students or the conditions for the students so that they can think of in their own and to solve and critical thinking develops so that problem solving ability improves. So those things are very powerful points that you mentioned. And like the way you created the presentation with full of images and the quotes, I like it. And I think everyone has learned and everyone enjoyed the program because we are all from education background, right? So thank you very much for this wonderful presentation again, Madam Ashoka Bira. Over to you, Coach Rambab.
Wonderful review, and it's very lively. You have summed up. Thank you so much.